Hello, in this demo we are going to see how to create a master details form, and we will be using grid view, and we are going to implement the master details form completely with the help of ADO.NET coding. So I'll start a new project. Say the name of the project is master details form that I have started just now, new website, and this is my solution explorer, and I have default.aspx page with me, and my database is organization DB. In this I have 4 tables with me: table category, table department, table employee, table product. Anyway, we are going to work with table department. In this table department I have 3 columns: department ID, department name, and HOD. Let us see the data inside this. I'll just right click on this and say show table data. So I have a few records with me. I'll close this. Now first of all, what is it I need? I need my connection string in my web.config file. So here I have my web.config file, and in connection strings tag I need my connection string to this database. So I'll show you one short method of getting connection string. It is very simple. You drag and drop any table on the form and you will see that a connection string in web.config file. So here I got the connection string. I'll change the name of the connection string as myConStr, data source, initial catalog, and integrated security equals to true, and my provider is SQL client. So anyway, I got my connection string, and name of the connection string is myConStr, and I do not need these things now. I'll delete this. Now I have 3 fields, or I can say I have 3 columns: department ID, department name, and HOD. First of all, I'll display all the records in the grid view. So how do I do that? It's very simple. I need to go for my toolbox and I'll drag and drop my grid view. I'll go for auto formatting. I'll select a good format. Okay. Now in this property I'm going to set auto generate select button true, so that I'll get select link here. Save this. In page load I want to bind the data of department table to the grid view. So I'll just right click and say view code. So I got page load event. Now in this I need to write the code. Now before that, let me say using system.data, one namespace, another is using system.data.sql client. So these are the 2 namespaces that I need whenever I am going to work with ADO.NET. Now first of all I need connection string, so I'll say string s is equals to, I'll get the connection string from my web.config file. So how do I get the connection string from web.config file? For that again I need to use one more namespace using system.configurations, and I'll say configuration manager dot connection strings of myConStr dot toString. So this will get me the connection string in my s variable. So I got connection string in this s variable. Next I need to create SQL connection object. SQL connection con equals to new SQL connection. So at the time of creation of the connection I'll pass connection string. My connection string is nothing but s. Now I'll create command object SQL command cmd equals to new SQL command. Now at this time I need to pass 2 parameters. One is command text, another is connection object. Command text is nothing but select star from tbl underscore tpt. I want to have all the records from department table, and I am going to execute this query on connection con. Now I'll open the connection, con.open. Now I need to execute the command cmd.execute reader. So it is going to return me the data reader object. So I'll store that in my SQL data reader object, SQL data reader dr equals to. Now I got my result in dr. Now I need to give this dr to my grid view. So I'll say grid view 1 dot data source equals to dr. Before binding to the grid view, before binding the data to the grid view, I need to set the data key name of my grid view. That means whenever I select a record from the grid view, what is the value it should grab. So that is called as data key name. So I can give a single value or I can give combination of multiple values. So value is nothing but a column. So I'll say grid view 1 dot data key names equals to, this will be an array of string equals to new string array, and I'll be passing department ID. So what is the department ID? Let me check it in database explorer. It is DID. I'll pass it in flower bracket. So this will be the data key names. That means whenever I select a record, it should take department ID value from that record. Now I'll say grid view 1 dot data bind. Now I'll close the connection. Connection dot close. That's it. And I want to perform this operation only once at the first page load. So I'll write this code in my if not is post back. And I may require this code again and again. Actually, it is a property, not a method. Now I require this code again and again. So I'll extract this code and I'll give it a name, say get all department. So I'll just right click and I'll say refactor, extract the method, name it as get all department. I'll say okay. Now I got a separate method get all department and I'm calling it in my page load. Now whenever I want to display all the departments, simply I can call this get all department method. Now I'll save this and I'll execute it. So it is showing me all the departments. Now I can select any record. Now what I want is, I want a form below, and whenever I select a record, that form should fill all these values, department ID, department name and HOD. So I'll be creating a form below. So I have a form ready with me with department ID, the text box is txt did, and department name text box is txt dname, HOD text box is txt HOD, and I have 4 buttons with me. One is save, another is update, delete. Save is nothing but insert, update, delete, and cancel button. Now whenever I click the cancel button, it should clear all the text boxes and it should display the updated result in the grid view. That means whenever I click cancel, I'll be clearing all the text boxes. Or I can say txt did dot text equals to string dot empty. The same way txt department name dot text equals to string dot empty. That means I am clearing the text. txt hod dot text equals to string dot empty. After clearing all the text, I'll call get all department method. That means I'm refreshing the grid view. I'll save this. Now my cancel button code is ready. Now for the save button code, I need to write insert query in this. Whenever I click save, now my insert query would be almost same. I'll simply copy this code, I'll paste it here. I have connection string command. My command would be, this time it will be insert into table name values at department ID, at department name, these are all parameters, at HOD, close the bracket, and I need to add parameters to this command. So I'll say cmd dot parameters dot add with value. My first parameter is at did, and this value I'll be getting from txt did dot text dot to string. Now in the same way, I'll say cmd dot parameters dot add with value. This time it will be at dname, and value I'll be getting from txt dname dot text dot to string. Now finally the last parameter is cmd dot parameters dot add with value. This time I'll pass at hod and txt hod dot text dot to string. So I have added all these three parameters. I'll say connection dot open. Now this time, if I want to execute the query, I can use cmd dot execute non query. Can use cmd dot execute non query. That means I'm trying to execute a command which does not return anything. That means insert, it is going to insert the records into the table. That's it. It is not going to return some records and all those things. Now as soon as I insert the record, after closing the connection, I'll update the grid. So I'll call that method get all department, so that as soon as I insert the record, the value should get updated in the grid view. Save this, save all, set as startup page, run this. Fine. Now I'll insert one record, say 20, department name ECE, and the HOD say boss. There is some exception, incorrect syntax in here, TBL department. Actually it is insert IBT. I have written actually insert into. I'll write the department ID 20, department name ECE HOD boss. So my record got inserted. It is here. There is 20 ECE boss. Okay, this is fine. Now what I want is, whenever I select any record, all these values should be filled into these text boxes. So how do I do that? Let us see. So now we will see how can we get the record into the form. That means whenever I select any record from the grid view, my all three text boxes should filled with all the values of that particular record. So I need to write the code in grid view selected index change event. So in this event, whenever I select the record, the value whatever I am getting, I'll store it in a string variable. String val equals to grid view one dot selected value dot to string. So I'll be getting the department ID in val. Why? Because I have set department ID as data key name. You can see here I have set department ID as data key name. So whenever I select any record, the selected value will be the data key name. That is nothing but department ID. So I'll get department ID in val. Now I'll write the same query. I'll just copy this code, paste it here. I'll get the connection string. My connection of command will be select star from department table where department ID equals to val. So I'll say department ID equals to @DID, and here I'll add the parameter cmd dot parameters dot add with value @DID, comma value is nothing but val. That's it. Now I have opened the connection, execute the reader. Now I don't want to display the record in the grid view. Now this time what is that I'll do? I'll first of all read the record from the data reader. So how do I read the record? I'll be reading in this way. If dr dot read, that means if that record exists. What is it I want to do? If the record exists, I'll say txt department ID dot text equals to dr of did. So dot to string. My data reader will contain that particular record. Why? Because I'm executing the query and I'm storing it in my data reader. So data reader will contain that particular record. Now in that record I have department ID, department name and HOD. You can see in the database I have department ID, department name and HOD. So department ID I'll give it to the txt did text box, and department name I'll give it to txt dname text box. Text equals to dr of dname dot to string. Now these names should be exactly my column names. txt hod dot text equals to dr of hod dot to string. That's it. This should work. I'll just save this, the start page, execute this. Now I'll select a record from this. Now whenever I select the record, this 3 I should get in did. Say if I am selecting record 3 should get in did text box, qa should be displayed in department name, and laik should be displayed in hod. So I'll select this. That's it. I got the record laik, qa and 3. Now I'll select pdg. I got the record ec I got. So whenever I am selecting any record, that is getting displayed in my form. I'll say cancel. I'll insert a new record 21, name it as csc, hod say Tom. I'll insert this. So I got Tom 21 here. I'll select this. It is visible 20, any record. Now what I can do, I can update this by changing things here and say update. So I need to write the code in update, button click. I want to implement update operation. So to implement update operation, I need to copy this same query, copy this, I have copied the same code. Instead of insert, I need to write update table department and set. Anyway, department ID I cannot update because that is primary key, so I should not update department ID. Department name I can update. So I'll write dname equals to @dname, comma hod equals to @hod. I'll be updating this. Now what record I am updating? I'll write where did equals to @did. That's it. Now these parameters will remain same. Why? Because whatever the record I am selecting, that will be filled in my text boxes, so I'll be updating. I can change department name or HOD and I can go for update. I simply save all. I'll execute this. Okay, now I'll select a record, COE. Record got filled here. Now I'm updating the name of HOD from Lara to Brain Lara. I'll click on update. So this Lara should get updated to Brain Lara. I got that Lara updated to Brain Lara. In the same way, COE, I'll update it to Education. I'll just say update. So it got updated. So my update query is running fine. Now finally we'll implement the last, that is delete operation. So delete operation is also the same way. I can implement it. Double click the delete button and copy the same code, paste it here. Instead of update, I'll say delete from table department, where I need to pass department ID. That's it. I need not to pass these two parameters. Now this should work. And I'll do one more thing. I'll copy this cancel button code, that means clearing the text boxes. So whenever I insert a record, all the text boxes should get cleared. In the same way, whenever I update the record, all the text boxes should get cleared. And whenever I delete the record, all the text boxes should get cleared. That's it. Save all, execute. Now do remember one thing, there are many ways of implementing the same task, but this is one of the way I have shown you. There could be many other ways to implement the same task. Now we'll select a record DSS and I'll try to delete this. Now that record got deleted. Now I'll insert a new record, say 22 IT HOD is Jack. I'll say save. So Jack got inserted. I'll select Jack. Now I'll update the HOD name from Jack to Peter. So record got updated. I'll select the same. I'll delete this and I can click cancel to come on the same page. So that's it. I have created a master details form. Now this is the form that you require in almost all the projects. Thank you very much.